I mean, we created Ghost Hunters. It was our baby for 11 years. And of course, if we had the opportunity to take it back as us, as TAPS, we felt it was best in our hands.
What's up, everyone? Tania here with popculture.com, and I'm so excited to welcome paranormal investigators Jason Hawes and Steve Gonsalves of the iconic series Ghost Hunters, revived only on Discovery Plus. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So happy October. How have you both been?
Been good. We've been busy running around. Actually, I just left Steve about 2 days ago. So we've just been cranking and having a blast. I mean, we love October. It's like our favorite month out of the year.
So, let's get to it. It's no secret that Ghost Hunters was on another network this time last year. So what made you guys want to revive the show since you were all teamed up previously on Ghost Nation?
Well, we had created Ghost Nation as a way for us all to stay together, and I think that's important. And we didn't want to do Ghost Nation if it was going to separate us. I mean, Ghost Hunters if it was going to separate us. And now that the ability to take Ghost Hunters back as a team, I think Steve and I and Dave, Shari, we all sat down, we talked about it, and we felt that. I mean, we created Ghost Hunters. It was our baby for 11 years, and of course, if we had the opportunity to take it back as us, as TAPS, we felt it was best in our hands. So we all sat down, we talked about it, did some soul searching for about a month, I would say, Steve, right? And before finally just saying, you know what, let's do it. So, and we decided to do it as a team, and that's the only way Discovery wanted it. And that's all that mattered to us.
Yeah. And, it's a fantastic show. I've already got to watch the sneak peek, for the Halloween special. And I'm just wondering, have you had a chance to talk to the previous Ghost Hunters from the last incarnation? Just because I know there's a fan base there as well. And just for, all the fans who are going to want to watch this one, is there anything that they should know while they're getting into it, like another revival?
Well, I don't want to speak for everybody, Steve, but I've spoken with Brian Murray. I mean, great guy. I've actually hung out with him a bunch of times. Same with Rochelle. Mm-hmm. And I met Daryl about a month ago. But yeah, those are the only ones I've actually talked with. And I mean, Brian and Rochelle are great people. I mean, I've enjoyed talking with them and hanging out with them in the past. What about you, Stevie?
Brian and Rochelle are the only two I've been exposed to in that regard. And we've had some days and nights hanging out and chatting. And they're both really, really cool. Super nice and, very respectful to what we do and what we're about to do, which I think is cool. But haven't had a chance to run into any of the other folks. Daryl, I talked to very briefly. But yeah, we wish all of those investigators the best. But for us, it took a few years away from Ghost Hunters, and we've learned a lot in the last few years, which I think is exciting. So you'll see, Ghost Hunters was very much a preliminary type of investigation. And now, we are taking it to another level and actually seeing the cases through to fruition, to the point where we're actually helping people and not leaving until we've helped the people that we're investigating for.
One of the most important things was what Brian said to me at one point. He said, when he found out that we were doing Ghost Hunters again, he said, you know what? It's back in the hands of those that should have always stayed in. And I think that meant a lot coming from him, because, he had been somebody who followed us for years. And we're just, like I said, we're just happy to take the reins back and just start running with it again.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, Rochelle and Brian, I've had a chance to talk to them as well, and they're just so kind, and he's such a teddy bear. Like, he's such a warm-hearted person. And so I'm just really happy that we get to see you guys now back at the helm of all of this. And on that note, I do want to talk about the premiere episode. I really loved it. It was such a phenomenal investigation with not only Shari, but teaming up with Amy and Adam and Dustin. And so what was it like getting back to the hunt with the TAPS team at a site that you've all investigated before? And might I add, it is the bloodiest 47 acres in America.
Honestly, it was great for us because we've all still stayed in touch and talked and worked together on other things. Dustin, he's like a brother to us. I mean, you'll see him a bunch of times on this season. Amy and Adam, they're great. I mean, Amy was with me for years, even before she started on Ghost Hunters. She used to help produce a radio show I did, Beyond Reality Radio. And I mean, Adam, he went through Academy with Steve, and I got the pleasure of hanging out with him. And then it was funny because on Ghost Hunters, he was only supposed to be there for a couple episodes. And we decided to keep them. So we kept them for years. And, to see what those two have been able to accomplish, I think has been great. But they're family. So you might spend a little time away from one another here and there, but I mean, you're family and you all still just click. What do you guys think?
It was the perfect case, I think, to have them on with us. And the place was so big that we needed some extra hands. Amy and Adam, although they still investigate sort of under the same protocols and procedures that we do, but they have their own techniques and their own strategies that they use. And there's a good chance that some of the things that they brought to this investigation actually got some interesting results, because two teams can go into the same place and it's going to be two completely different investigations with different outcomes and different tactics to handle it. And so I think it worked out great. We had Dustin there as well. And the place is so large that we needed all of the extra hands, honestly.
Yeah. So what was it about the Missouri State Penitentiary that made you guys want to return for this big team investigation? Like, why this place, and why, return after 10 years, basically? I think it was season 7 or in 2011. Yeah.
Well, they contacted us after finding Centennial Cells that had been there for forever and nobody really knew about it. They were buried, and they dug them up, and activity was really kicking up anyways. But and they weren't sure if it was kicking up due to the new cells. But I mean, they were dealing with stuff. They were seeing what appeared to be almost like a doppelganger ghost of some of the security guards. People were feeling like they were being touched and shoved, and they were being threatened. Voices. I mean, it was nonstop. And such a huge location that has had so many people pass through it throughout the years, and a lot of people die and lose their lives there. These places are ripe for paranormal activity. So it was a blast to be there. I mean, it's one of those places that never let you down. Yeah, I mean, I'll investigate that place anytime.
For us, it was a good time to go back, because they actually had some staff members that weren't able to keep. They couldn't keep them. They were, quitting, and these were security guards. And if you're a place like this where you can't, have your security there, you're going to run into some major problems. So this was a good time to investigate it. Twofold. As investigators, it's an amazing place. So we had a ton of amazing activity and a lot of fun, but we were actually there with a mission to help them, which I think is important, not to just go to investigate as investigators, but to also have a bit of a mission to it.
Yeah. And I know that there's always a sort of energy upon entering buildings that have reported hauntings. So was there a difference in the feeling from when you guys entered in 2011 to 2021?
Oh, geez, that's tough to say, because you got to remember, I mean, it was 10 years ago. So it's tough to remember exactly how you felt when you were heading into the place. But I mean, the place does have just a crazy energy about it. And then you start reading some of the history, or looking at some of the history of the people who've come through there, or the riots that happened. And, one man being pretty much the inmates breaking in to take the life of one individual with a sledgehammer. I mean, you're like, oh my God, the craziness that went on here. And God knows the energy that's trapped within the structure or the walls that make up this place.
Mm-hmm. Steve, you have anything to add to that?
One thing I quite fascinating about it, you think of a place like Missouri State Penitentiary, everybody already knows the history. They know who went through there, but through our research, we do an incredibly deep dive into all aspects of what the property went through and what it, and we found a lot of things that they didn't quite know about. Some deaths. We were able to really dispel some of the rumors that were happening there, and that's all important to our investigation, because these things end up in history books. They end up on the tours, and if we can help nuance and get the right information out there, then we're helping the whole community, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm not familiar with the area, but, from the aerial views of you guys you captured, it's huge and it's massive. And I'm just I've read a lot about the paranormal, and I am very fascinated by it, because there's obviously more to just this world than, just us. So I'm wondering if environmental or structural factors actually heighten the site, like limestone or water. Is that theory true?
Honestly, throughout the time that we've been investigating, over 30 years now, we have seen that places with limestone, high limestone deposits, or that are constructed in limestone, seem to resonate more with paranormal activity. Now, can we say that they're connected? no, but our research has shown that it definitely seems to have more profound paranormal activity in the places that are near limestone or water areas, water tables, and things of that nature.
Even, aside from the research that we've done and the patterns we've recognized, lucky enough to be able to sit down with a group of physicists who literally told me straight to my face that, these large deposits can hold energy and can release that energy. Now, quartz works more as a bit of a conductor, where limestone works a bit more as a cell that can hold and harbor energy. Scientists can actually put signals into rock bed and mountains, and then at a later date retrieve those same signals and frequencies. So that is a true part of the science, that we're exploring. But so I think we can almost move past it being a paranormal theory and looking at it as something that is actually happening in the paranormal field.
Mm-hmm. And, something that I really loved with this episode and what we're going to see with the next ones, I'm sure, is how the revival actually immerses the audience in a real time sort of way with the EVPs. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, you guys added that because that was always what we wanted to hear. And so with you guys also producing the series as well, did you have more creative control over how the episode looks and feels for the audience, especially with like more silence now and less of that soundtrack we used to have on the first series?
Absolutely. When we decided, when the original reboot happened, we decided that we were going to stay together, and we created Ghost Nation. We added all those things that we always wanted to add to Ghost Hunters into Ghost Nation. And so it was one of those things where when we decided we were going to go back and take Hunters back, we wanted to bring all those new ideas that we had over to Hunters. And the thing is, we have full creative control when it comes to Hunters, which, we had some in the past, but now it's more just under our helm, and we're able to kind of make a hybrid of the show and bring in a lot of the things that we always wanted to bring in. So, and I think that's important. And Steve and I and Dave, Shari, I mean, we're always talking about new things and new ways and just different investigation techniques or equipment to try to bring in to keep things going and try to really push the field ahead.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we're doing a lot now is what we call real-time analysis, where we are analyzing in real time, in the moment. So these voices that come through, EVPs, or just disembodied voices, we're hearing them in the moment, and that's actually pivoting our investigation. If we start trying to talk to someone named John for 2 hours, but we hear an EVP that interacts with us when we bring up the name Samantha, just making things up, but that's going to pivot you from John to Samantha. Or maybe all of a sudden, something else comes out. There was one time we realized that, wait a second, it isn't the victims that we are actually communicating with. It is the perpetrator, the person who killed these people. And that was quite a revelation. You'll see that in one of the episodes coming up. But that's important, the real-time analysis. And that's something where we're getting a lot more EVPs because we're doing that.
Mm-hmm. So are we going to be seeing new tech on the show as well, or is it the same old that we're just kind of illuminating to be, on a different level?
No, you'll be seeing new tech. We've brought in new gear. We're testing new things out, and as the episodes advance, you're going to see that we're going to keep that idea alive and keep on trying to introduce new things and styles and things like that, because you constantly got to change up your investigation method and equipment to try to suit whatever investigation you're on.
Mm-hmm. And, I have 2 more questions for you guys. I'm about to wrap up, but Steve, there was a moment when you entered the gas chamber and I felt like I was feeling what you were feeling, like it's very claustrophobic and it was a very tight room. What was that feeling like, especially knowing that there was all this paranormal activity in the area?
It was actually not to, be dramatic, but it was pretty terrifying, honestly. It took me and Tango about 40 minutes to even get in there. We just stood outside, a bit trepidatious as if we should go in or not. It seemed a little disrespectful, a little weird, but we decided to do it. And when we actually locked ourselves into that gas chamber, it was really, really unsettling, to be honest with you. But we got some amazing activity. Can't say what, but it worked. That technique worked. So it was scary, but worth it.
Yeah. And, Jason, you mentioned that there was more activity now than there was before at this site. So do you think paranormal activity can heighten over time, or does it always remain the same?
Well, I think it can definitely heighten over time because things can be passing through and decide to stay. Also, I think a place that I mean, they had just taken a big hit from the tornadoes not too long prior. Parts of the building were damaged, so I'm sure that might make things that are in that area head to other areas that we were able to access at that point. So it definitely. I mean, I think it can definitely grow over time and get stronger. And of course, if the weather's right, if the conditions are right, things tend to happen more often.
Mhm. Well, guys, I'm so excited for the new season of Ghost Hunters, and congrats on the show. It's phenomenal and it's fun, and I know that fans are going to love it so much. So, guys, Ghost Hunters will premiere October 31st on Discovery Plus. For more with the guys and all your reality news, keep it locked to popculture.com for the latest.